Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dungeon Talks, the companion show to Dungeon Nytes, where we definitely weren't talking about 55-gallon drums of personal lubricant before we started the show. Whew. If that's not a reason for you to be here live on Wednesday nights, I don't know what is. But today we have Oisin and Leif, a.k.a. Mr. Faded, and Gage Okami. How are you guys?
I'm here.
You are here. Appreciate you guys. You guys are looking a little different in the face this week. Over the weekend, we had a charity stream for Extra Life as part of D&D Celebration 2020, where we raised $700, and you both volunteered yourselves for various shaving duties at the $500 milestone. Thank you, by the way.
I got into a fight with some hedge trimmers on my face.
I mean, you won.
I lost.
I mean, you maintained at least a mustache, right?
Yes. Still lost.
You didn't completely lose. You're still here.
I went a little bit more like what Leif has, and also Renegade. Yep, we can allow that.
You know who you are. You know what that look is for. I'm just saying. Anyway. Wow. Anyway. So no, you guys look very dapper, and I do appreciate you guys offering up your facial hair for the kids. We didn't quite get to what it would take for me to shave my beard, but hey, we got close. $700. We do have a giveaway after the show tonight for the player's handbook and metal dice that we bought as part of the $200 and $400 milestones. So exciting stuff there. But anyway, last week on Dungeon Nytes, our last session anyway, we had some planning, I'll say. We kind of processed the attack of the dragon and kind of figured out what our next steps were going to be, and ended up deciding to go and check up on a couple dwarves and seeing how they have fared, because the dragon was apparently coming from their direction. So, you know, that was a nice kind of a change of pace, but kind of get us back into some normalcy. You know, how do you think that your characters, and I'll just toss this to you, Oisin, first. How do you think Oisin, you know, kind of felt the morning after waking up and trying to figure out where we go from here?
I think he's still focused. In fact, maybe more so now. Focused on getting the party ready. Focused on accomplishing the only job that's on the board that matters to him. Everything else is just the filling in between.
Yeah, I feel like when Oisin woke up, you had made mention that he was processing things differently, and a lot of the kind of, I don't want to say the rage of last night was gone, but it felt like that Oisin had more sense come to him about the reality of the situation.
Right.
Leif, what about you? What was Leif thinking the next morning? Were you like ready to go to war? Or were you like, I don't know?
I think Leif said it in character pretty well. Just, I don't really think we're ready, but he does find that it's good that the dragon seems to be a little bit younger than he was expecting, which means less chance of us dying a horrible death.
So you think?
As I said, that's what he's thinking. So, and he's always kind of more go with the flow. So, yeah, the events were definitely affecting him. But
sure,
next day, he tries to just still try to be cheerful for the party.
Oisin's kind of a hope for the best, but plan for the worst kind of person. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you guys feel that your characters, I know you guys think that you're not ready, but what do you think it's going to take for you guys to feel like you're ready to face a dragon again?
Well, I mean, we're getting level 7 now because donations, which is funny.
you guys do get level 7, is that gonna do it for you? Do you think the level
No.
7
No,
is
I'm
gonna
not
be
gonna.
like,
No,
and we're
I
gonna
get
go
nothing for
fight a
level 7.
dragon?
Like outside of character, like a adult white dragon, that's like a task for like 4 or 5 level like 10, 11, 12 adventures. A young white dragon, I mean 7, 8, 9 should be able to handle it, but it's still dangerous.
Sure.
They
It's
can
incredibly
still
dangerous.
they can still basically one shot half of you
It's
if you get
it's
unlucky.
it's about the preparation before the fight. Like if we know specifically what we're fighting, there's preparations that can be made and
Yeah.
before you fight it. Like there are
Which
things
Leif,
that you could try to find, like armor that offers you resistance to its main attacks,
Right.
which
i.e.
Leif has
cold.
done. And that's something that Leif definitely took very seriously in the past month, was what Bamir said. And his knowledge of learning about white dragons, he wanted to look for items that could resist cold, because
Nice.
even that's better than nothing.
Also, like what is it vulnerable to if it's vulnerable to anything? So we need to maybe focus on trying to find what could deal it more damage than normal.
Vicious mockery. They're very weak self-esteem because they're
Very
they're the dumb,
weak.
they're the dumb dragons, so they have really low self-esteem.
But
I
the
feel
thing
like that's
is,
a
if you make
misnomer.
if it might have low self-esteem, but if you make it angry, probably not the best idea to go mocking a dragon.
Well,
Because
White
it is at
white
the end of the
dragons are
day,
actually
it's still
very
a dragon.
scary.
It's
Yeah.
still a dragon.
I think the things about white dragons that I find interesting just from the research that I've done is while they're regarded as, I don't want to say less intelligent, they're not very schemy, they're very direct, right?
More primal.
Yeah, very very primal, but in that, like, I'll use the word primality, right? Like in their primalness, they are extremely efficient. Like basically the way that they're described is like if a white dragon sees something, right? Like once, it remembers everything. It's almost like the Outlander ability, right? Like it looks at terrain once, it knows it. It looks at
Mhm.
you once, it gets your scent once, and it has it forever, like ever. That to me is just like, whoa, that in and of itself is an ability that I feel like we would glance over a lot from a DM perspective. Is just like, okay, well, they have the ability to remember stuff. I think that's a really powerful tool when it comes to just, hey, these people are going to try and creep up on us, or there are multiple encounters. Does that play into the dragon's desire to kind of off you sooner or to retaliate it or something, right? Like there's lots of good RP in thematic strategy in the dragon being able to just remember things better than you. And I think that's it's a interesting, I don't know, way to think about things.
They're very different than like green dragons that were definitely will try to like scheme and trick you and will try to talk to you.
Right.
While a white dragon's like, why are you talking to me? You have nothing to offer me. You are going to die.
Do you have food? Do you have gold?
Do you have anything that he
Die.
wants? Yep.
Right.
Even the dumbest dragon could still outsmart the smartest human.
Right.
So that wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat for sure. All right, so we do have some questions coming through. And again, this is why you should be here live for these. If you're catching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll link the video to the previous, or we'll link the video from the previous session so you guys have that there up above. But a couple questions from the audience. Is this mug wood? Yes, this mug is wood. It has a stainless steel interior. I got it off Amazon for like $20. Feel free to grab yourself one. I can link it maybe later.
We have a question from that's in the Discord.
Yes,
Saturday, I think it was.
Yeah, Cataract posted that in chat already. So
his is different.
Oh, is it?
Chat. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So this is going to take a little bit of a departure, but is very important questions. So read me the one from the Discord, Faded.
Who was your Disney waifu growing up, and how do you think that affected you growing up?
Yeah. Who wants to start? Who wants to take this first?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't
Beauty and the
know.
Beast is my favorite Disney, so Belle.
Belle? Why Belle? I'm curious.
Mm.
Not to get you in trouble with wifey. because we know how this is going to go. You may never watch Beauty and the Beast ever again.
Probably her unwillingness to give up and her general sense of curiosity.
I like that.
Also, I'm a sucker for brunettes.
There you go. Also prey to that same sense, that same weakness. Gage, what about you?
This is not a great question for me to answer. I honestly don't really remember much about Disney movies growing up.
It's totally fair. If you don't have one, you don't have one. That's fine.
Feel bad. I just don't have one.
No, it's totally fine. Like I think the whole reason we got on this topic was because I was talking about how
Gage took the dodge action.
Yeah.
Dodge rule.
And naturally myself, I'm kind of like a rogue or a bard, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I was talking about how my kids are like watching all these different kids shows, and my oldest son for a while, I don't think he has been recently, but he was watching like some kind of like Barbie adventure show, and I'm like, why are you watching this? One, they turn Barbies into like badass spies, by the way. Like they're like, I don't know, the Powerpuff Girls, but in Barbie. Anyway, so he's
I think
watching
I know
the
the show you're talking about. My daughter's watched it.
And I'm like, why are you, son? I was like, why are you watching this? And I was like, you think they're pretty, don't you? And he's like, I'm like, yeah, And so then we started talking about Disney. No, but like definitely growing up, I think Jasmine was totally mine growing up. It was just, if I had to put something around it, I thought she was pretty. And kind of going back into it, she was just very forward about kind of what she wanted, and I respect that, definitely, 100%. But yeah, something about Jasmine always just kind of got me. I don't know.
I totally want to answer Cataract's question too.
Yeah, so
Once again,
follow-up,
I can't answer that. Someone else can for me.
I'll say this too. I think that there's something about Disney characters, right? Like I think that even in movies, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but even movies like The Lion King, like I remember like having like a mental crush like on Nala, and I don't remember why. I think it's just like you want to put yourself in these positions to where you're like in relationships when you're a kid, and it's just like the fantasy of you being like a lion, and you have like your lady lion and all this kind of fun stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You let me know about you. But Cataract's follow-up question: what Disney princess do you think your characters would be most be able to identify with? What does that mean?
Like, I think if they were a Disney princess, which one they would be?
Okay, fair enough. That's a more direct question.
I don't. Someone else can answer that for me?
I would have probably slapped Elsa on Leif until he got rewired because all the ice magic.
All the ice magic.
That's fair.
This one's a hard one for me. One, because I've seen like every Disney movie ever, but probably Merida.
Ooh, good.
I don't know who that is.
Merida?
Brave.
From Brave.
I never watched Brave.
Oh, Brave's such a good one.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
That's definitely with the archery and the roguiness. Definitely Merida. I was also thinking like Meg. Like you're very. I don't know. She doesn't count as a Disney princess, does she? That's so crap. Megara from Hercules.
Okay.
She's willful. She's beholden to a deity.
She's basically a warlock.
Kind of. Pretty sure I had a crush on her too. But yeah.
So wait, Cataract. What about Bamir?
What about Bamir? Also, I can't answer this question because the answer would just be all of them.
I can't answer this question because I don't know. I don't remember watching enough Disney movies.
I know. I think Elsa's right. I think Elsa's a good fit. Actually, I think you were probably a mixture of Elsa and Anna, because Anna's very naive when it comes to the world, as Leif was, and then Elsa obviously not understanding her power, and continuing to trying to get to know herself better, and then finally getting to know herself better. So I think that makes it better.
No, it is not.
Did you
No,
watch
How to Train Your
Frozen?
Dragon is
So I
not
get that.
Disney. I wish it was. Also, Geigen says he wanted to be the Beast. Geigen, who didn't want to be the Beast? Are you telling me that you wouldn't want the ability to Hulk out into some awesome form? Like, let's go.
Just play a barbarian.
Right. I would like to rage. I would like to rage. All right, any other questions? I was trying to think of who the most self-centered Disney princess was. Ooh.
Okay, give me a second.
That's a good question. Who is the most self-centered Disney princess?
At the beginning of their hero's journey?
Yeah, I was about to say that when you say self-centered and willful could kind of go hand in hand depending on your perspective.
So Ariel's a good choice.
Ariel's a really good choice because she has no foxes
However,
given.
she's very naive, and that doesn't fit Bamir. So
no, but she really doesn't like. If you think about Ariel's character, she's born a princess, has everything that she could be
Moana.
afforded,
And her willfulness.
But see, Moana was actually doing everything to try and help her people. Ariel just wanted to be different. She just wanted to go do her own thing. She says, my dad's the king of the ocean. I don't care. I want legs. What? I need to make a deal with a sea witch that could potentially, hurt my people? Who cares? I got legs and I can go date a man on land.
But that comes directly from her naivete and not knowing how the world works.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying she literally cared not for what other people's concerns were. She was completely self-centered. And it's not that Bamir's a bad person. It's not that Bamir's a bad person. It's not that Ariel's a bad person. Just has their own desires.
If Cospain is still here, I'm wondering who she thinks that Asteria is Disney princess-wise.
Ooh, very good. What about Aurora? But see, Aurora kind of fits that mold too, Foxy.
I'm contributing.
I am contributing. I'm sorry, Gage.
No, it's okay. I don't remember the Disney movies enough to really contribute to this.
It's a lot of layers.
Shrek?
See, I wouldn't say so. The only reason I wouldn't say Jazz, so we're getting lots of Jasmine in chat. The only reason I wouldn't say Jasmine is because Jasmine was being forced into a suitor relationship and was rebelling against that. And I don't think that she was doing it for her own selfish reasons exclusively.
You won't do it.
Toss his shoe across the house? Oh no.
Because I said Shrek. She said there's a lot of layers there, so I said Shrek.
Ogres are like onions.
I'm going to die, by the way. So if you see a shoe hit me in the head,
it's a dark
exactly
room. We're not
what
going to be able to
happened.
see who's creeping up behind you. I'm sorry. It is what it is. All right. Well, until you guys can get some more questions going in chat, we'll get back to my grilling of the crew here. So getting into the kind of expedition bit. I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know what your guys' opinion of the kind of dwarven excavation kind of section was, because there's really, it's this really small area, right? What were you expecting to be in this thing?
Something. Just something.
I didn't know what I was expecting to be in there.
I was not expecting one or two rooms. I was expecting like a full dungeon.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, oh,
one and done, huh?
Like I'm like, we're really missing something, or like I thought it's gonna be like half the size of the Wave Echo Cave.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that big?
I sort of am feeling that we might have missed something.
You literally missed one room. I'll tell you, you missed one room.
Cool.
That's it.
Gotta go back.
It was a bad room anyway. You didn't want to be in there. It's fine.
I know now we want to go.
Like an alternate to Dragon Slayer, complete opposite direction.
So,
but yeah.
I mean, you're still
I will
technically
say
there.
that
You could go back if you wanted.
Ashin has zero trust for the dwarves.
Really?
Zero.
Really?
Does not trust.
Why?
Because it's Ashin.
Yeah. Okay.
Real quick, this brought up something just in my head. Why the heck does Leif have the insight skill when he trusts people so much?
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he trusts them, because he has the insight skill.
Well, I guess he has. So, I mean, that passive insight, sure, but he doesn't like really question too often. Like, I think the most he's questioned it was like when Ashim put out the fire on the roof. He's just like, how? Okay, I believe you, because he rolled 2 nat ones.
I find it curious because Ashin, you are a naturally suspicious character, but you have been better and better. Like, this was a mission from Sister Garela to go and help these dwarves. And so, yes, they're, like, hey, we're excavating this thing. But like, you got real, like, grilly immediately. And it was just like, for what? It's like, do you got something against dwarves? Like, what?
He's probably a little emotional because Garth died.
Still some emotional there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks
And
for
he
giving that out.
didn't really want to be there.
Okay.
And the way that they were talking,
And Dwarvish.
just seemed suspicious to him.
They were a little sus. You just
Mhm.
didn't like how sus they were being.
They were not. They were a lot of sus in his eyes.
Well, I
Didn't
mean,
seem
they're
sus.
dwarves, right? Like,
And then they were like, "Oh yeah, you guys go in there and take care of it for us." Yeah. Why am I risking my neck for you? No, you can come in here with me.
because they're cowards.
And because we're the Fist
So?
of Phandalin, they kind of expect us to.
Yeah, you're heroes and they're cowards. Like,
Okay.
go fight a dragon. Come with me. No.
Guess what?
You're
They're
the
not getting
Fist
the
of
loot.
Phandalin. Well, that's fine. You don't have to give them the loot. They gave you standing stones anyway. So happy day.
And there's literally a background for the knight that has retainers, and you have 3 retainers as your background feature. And they won't follow you into dangerous dungeons because they're like, nope, it's not my job. I will boil you tea, but I will not do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of just nope that someone's gonna have.
Cataract, I want to play Among Us really bad with our group because I just think it would be enjoyable.
I feel like that would be a disaster waiting to happen. That would be amazing to watch.
Agreed.
Now, I hate to derail us because we're back on D&D discussion, but I must ask now, because I did see it in chat, is what Dark Souls boss would Leif be best friends with?
Priscilla. If we're talking about Dark Souls 1, probably Priscilla.
Oh, I didn't play through Dark Souls 1, so I don't know who Priscilla is.
I guess I don't avoid. I guess, do you want me to avoid? We'll just tell you.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care.
Priscilla's in the Painted World of Ariamis. She was a creature that was basically born through dragon and god means, and then was locked away because they feared her life hunt ability. And you find a little doll back in where you first started the game in that same cell. If you go back, you get a little doll, lets you enter the Painted World.
Okay.
And she's the only boss in all of Dark Souls that talks to you and asks you kindly to leave. And you can just walk by her and jump off the thing and leave. You don't have to fight her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
See,
It's
now
probably
if it was Bloodborne, I know who you would pick.
Really? Who would Bloodborne be?
The one your favorite fight. What's her name? The hat.
Lady Maria?
Yes.
Um,
I feel like you'd be
she'd
friends
probably
with her.
kill Leif, but sure.
I mean, you could be friends with her. I bet you would. That's all I'm saying.
We would try.
Really? Hold on. Dark Souls 1, you be friends with her and not what is it, Sif?
I mean, Sif's a big doggo. I think that would be number 2.
Okay.
But Sif can't speak words.
I'd
Tell
be
me-
friends with Sif.
I mean,
I know. I'm just saying that'd be the number 2 option.
Number two.
You,
Okay,
you said
fair.
you
Number
literally
two.
said which one? Probably Priscilla would be number
Okay,
one.
that's fair. I'm just saying. I just know.
Number,
I know.
number three
I
would be
know how
Quelaag.
much you enjoy Sif. That's why I was like, I'm shocked that it's not
this is
Sif.
Leif, not
It's
me.
true. It's true. It is Leif.
Probably Quelaag would be two or three as well.
Nice. All right, so another question from chat was, if you could make your character in a video game as a companion, would you take them along with you or sideline them?
Sideline them.
Ooh.
I would take Ashin because we'd be whooping ass everywhere.
I would agree with that.
I would sideline Leif because most likely he would get us in trouble.
You would sideline your own character. That's
I would sideline Leif. I would take
so
Valis.
sad.
If I had Valis, I'd take him.
I don't know. I would
actually.
actually take Leif.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a competent caster.
Sure, but he won't.
He is now.
He was a competent caster before.
True.
He was a creative caster. Wasn't necessarily a strong one.
I said competent. I didn't say strong.
Fair. But yeah, no, I would definitely sideline him. I would take Valis though. Like the one that we did our first campaign.
You know who I'd sideline?
Sure.
Bamir?
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Really?
Leif and Undertale? That'd be a good place to take him.
So, reason being, I'm playing the main character in the story. I don't need anybody else taking the spotlight.
The thunder? I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I was thinking of other reasons.
I would take him to the tavern to play wingman.
Okay. Yeah, because you know he wouldn't actually take anyone back to his room. Shots fired!
Shots are still fired from a bow.
That's right. But no, I think it's interesting. I think that's a really interesting question as to who you would take. See, for me, when you said Bamir, I was thinking because Bamir, even though he has the bardic abilities, they're not exactly solid combat abilities. I mean, Shatter's really nice, and he's got some new kind of things.
Sure.
But in terms of overall abilities, I don't think there's a whole lot that at least early Bamir had that lended a lot in combat.
Who would you sideline, Knight?
Who would I sideline?
Honestly, I would take the entire party into combat as long as the party was together.
Sure, but if you can only take one, I would.
So you're asking me if I could only take one character out of our entire party into like another game's combat?
No. It was who would you sideline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said Bamir. If I had to choose out of our party,
I mean, I would
Leif.
I would probably sideline Bamir. Not for any other reason. It's just I like to roll around with the most powerful characters that I possibly can, and I just don't think that Bamir in a fight would be there. However, now that I'm going through Dragon Age's the Dragon Age Inquisition campaign, there are certain scenarios where it feels more advantageous to take certain characters into different, situations. So there's certainly wouldn't be sidelining him. Period. It would just be particularly for combat.
Yeah, there are situationally. I think I would find a use for everybody.
Sure.
I would take Godoruk for raw damage and some tankiness. The same with Asteria and also her ability to heal pretty well. Bamir actually has a lot of good utility, not in combat, but also out of combat.
I mean, Fairy Fire is nice when like nailing people with Fairy Fire and getting advantage on rolls and being able to see them. That's nice. Like Shatter is definitely a powerful spell. Obviously, Bamir has healing capability too, where that's helpful.
I think one problem with Bamir isn't so much that Bamir the character. I think that Bamir tends to really low initiative quite often, and the fact that as a support character with how Ashin and Godoruk and Leif and Asteria are all set up, sometimes he doesn't really do anything, which isn't his fault. And it's like same with like Asteria didn't really get to do anything last time.
Yeah,
sometimes that's just how the rounds work out.
It's a
the
shame.
low initiative.
We have really high burst, so it kind of can do that sometimes.
I kind of felt bad like with that. Was it the spider or whatever? No, the jelly from the last episode. It was a jelly.
The
Mhm.
jellies.
and I just destroyed that first one. One, it was because of haste, and oh my god, thank you.
Yeah, he's still like, well, that
from
one's dead.
from Bamir, right? Like it was, so that was an ability from the bards. That was nice.
Then I had enough movement to run outside, say, "Hey, I killed one," and then run back in.
Showing off.
Yeah. Well, again, it's Bamir, the time when the red brands, you saw people with magic and you thought it was a good idea to come. You guys are idiots. I'm going back to sleep. Like, okay,
Right.
fair. I'm honestly, I'm sad that we don't get to have more Asteria in combat, because I feel like her druid abilities are so cool,
They're super cool.
and I want to see them more. Like in that exact fight when she pulled out like the moonbeam, I was like, oh,
We need to get
okay, I guess
Asteria
you're just
a
going to
dagger
kill
of
everyone
warning.
with a moonbeam. Great. Oh. And then
Well,
Murder
let's-
Bear. Who doesn't love Murder Bear?
We all like
Take
Murder
that,
Bear.
brigands!
We need to get Asteria like a dagger of warning or like a quarterstaff of warning, because you get advantage on initiative rolls and you can't be surprised.
Ooh,
So that might be nice to get advantage on initiative rolls.
you can't be surprised. Yeah, we're not going to
And
do
the
that.
quarterstaff would be something that she could use if she ever wants to boop something with a stick.
Well, you don't like that idea there, Dungeon Master?
Oh no, not being able to be surprised. What the is this? Like, no, no, I'm just
I,
kidding.
I mean, just
That's a
take
good
the alert
idea.
feat. The alert feat's the same thing, but plus
Right.
5 to initiative.
It's hard to know when you need to use limited resources
actually
like high level
my
spells or
next-
transformations. Yeah, I mean
Yep.
it is 100%. I think that those are all definitely good things to keep in mind. And no, from a Dungeons Master perspective, and I guess we kind of talked about this. So I hope you guys some people have asked for, I guess, more Dungeon Mastery kind of input in these things too. From a Dungeon Master perspective, everything that players get as abilities makes it more difficult for me to make engaging combats. Like it's not that there's an adversarial relationship between DM and players. There is when you're embodying a villain, right, or a bad character, or a monster or something, because the monster wants to do them harm. But in general, my job is to make the game fun. My job is to make the combats difficult, at least in certain situations, or challenging, so that you're not just steamrolling everything. And the hard part being a newer DM is not understanding all of these abilities, right? Like, here I am sweating bullets. I'm like, right, how many red brands do I send to them to make it actually a fair fight? Because they have multi attack. My group doesn't yet. Like, that's going to throw off the action economy a little bit. And all of a sudden it was just like Moonbeam. And I was like, what the f
Yeah.
is this?
How many red brands can I make this horrible? Let's see if I can fit 10 of them into a 20-foot square. That's enough for one fireball. So maybe I need to add another 10.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. But that's what's cool, right? Is it's a learning experience for me to understand, okay, well, this might look really scary on paper, but in reality, one of their abilities could take out 3 or 4 of them if they're clumped up, and they're going to be clumped up because it's either a tight,
Arc's
situation or whatever. So those types of things make it difficult. So like when you say to me, oh yeah, give them a staff of alertedness and they get better initiative rolls. Okay, that sounds great. And they can't be surprised. Well, come on. Like, I have to have something in the playbook that I can
Like
use.
surprise rounds.
Yeah, like goodness gracious.
Let me get the
Because then
warning.
at least it takes away the ability for you to be surprised. So it's like, okay, well, maybe that doesn't take the ability for anyone else to be surprised, just Asteria specifically. So other people could still be surprised, even though she couldn't be. So it's not that it's terrible, but it's just one of those things, right? Where you're like, how do I balance this? Because they all have BAMF abilities.
There are restrictions to it. So you have advantage initiative rolls. In addition, you and any of your companions within 30 feet of you can't be surprised except when incapacitated by something other than non-magical sleep. And the weapon magically awakens you and your companions within range if any of you are sleeping naturally when combat begins. So it's fun. Chef.
Yo, thank you so much for the 4-month resub. Guys, if you are here, if you're catching this on YouTube, we do this show live. We did just get a fantastic raid, so thank you, Dagot Game, for that amazing raid. Guys, if you're coming in, welcome to Dungeon Talks, our weekly show where we kind of recap the last session, and then we go ahead and allow you, the community, to ask us questions. So feel free to ask questions about D&D, about the show, about the characters. Although we've been asking them about favorite Disney princesses tonight. So, I mean, all things are on the table to get to know the players of the game as well. But thank you so much for that. And also the 4-month resub from you as well, Dad. Hope you guys had a great stream. But yeah, so I think that it's difficult, right? It's difficult to see you guys getting, and Ladman as well with a raid. Thank you so much, man. Guys, make sure you're following these two amazing human beings if you do not already. Yeah, it's difficult though from a DM perspective to figure out how to balance things, and that's like the constant struggle of my life. And I watch other D&D where I see other DMs seemingly balance things really really well, and I'm like, if you really want to feel like you have a handle on things as a DM, I feel like that's the experience to be able to look at a situation and be like, all right, my players have all this stuff. Yeah, they can handle this. That's like the holy grail that I'm looking for right now, because I just do not have that at all. I'm like, you guys are going to go up against 8 orcs. If this comes to a fight, you'll probably still wipe the floor with all of them. Just like, damn it.
I guess the point of that too is like there are certain like types of encounters that are really good for some players and really bad for others.
Yeah.
So like an example would be like Rakshasas for warlocks.
Okay.
They're immune to 6th level and lower. Warlocks can only cast up to 5th level, so unless they have their Mystic Arcanum, they can't do anything besides melee.
Sure.
Or do like buffs to team, which they probably don't because they're warlocks. So there's where that basically negates one character, which makes the encounter a lot harder because that character can't do much. So there's stuff like that. There's also like you can have a spellcaster cast silence on one of your other spellcasters and they can't cast spells.
Sure.
There's a lot of different ways to do it. But yeah, it's hard to balance, especially when you have more people. There's just more things to keep track of and they synergize differently depending on what people do.
Yeah. And I think the other side of that is also from a DM's perspective. I let you guys know this after the session. On paper, because it's the module itself called for a 3rd jelly to be in that encounter. And I just said, screw it, because I didn't want to ruin the pace of the game anymore. I knew you guys would destroy it easily anyway. There's no point in using that as the part of the encounter. If anything, I should have just added it to the main encounter and it would have been 3 jellies and it would have been just a little bit harder. You guys still would have completely wiped the floor with it, but it maybe that would have been a better way to do that.
Asteria would have got a turn.
Carrie would have got a turn. I was gonna say.
In hindsight, like maybe I should have just done that. I just wasn't thinking in the moment, right?
Ooh.
All right, so next question. If your character ends up dying, would you choose to get resurrected or create a new character?
Does resurrection have to be willing? Like Revive has to be a willing person?
Yes.
Okay. That's fair. Does she want to answer that first, or do you want Leif to?
Yeah, I think that Ashin would definitely come back.
I mean, yeah, if you got the option to be revivified or patron magic, Leif would probably come back.
Well, so he said, would you choose to get resurrected or create a new character? That's saying, do you like your character enough to bring them back, or would you choose to make someone new?
I'm going to play the character how the character be played. If Leif were to be killed, he would want to probably be resurrected, depending on the scenario.
Would you want to create a new character, though?
I'd be fine playing the same character.
Okay.
I'd be fine either way. I would still want to play how the character would want to be played, though, regardless. Unless I really hated the character I'm playing, which then I'm wondering why am I playing this character in the first place.
Yeah, I like Ashin, so I'm not ready to stop playing him. So I would choose for him to be resurrected. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair. All right, so next question. If your character wasn't an adventurer, what livelihood would they lead? Ooh.
He would still be wandering the outskirts and the wilds, killing things and searching for those that did him wrong. Probably murdering them.
So from you, Ashin, I'm actually going to take this before that. What for you was your life before all the bad things happened? Like what was Ashin's life before he was on a path of vengeance?
He was destined to become another hunter in his village. However, that's not actually the destiny he had. So
he's going to be a hunter regardless, right? So is what you're saying.
Yes, but rather than serving the needs of his people,
Mhm.
he now is trying to find a way to avenge his people.
Right. Fair. What about Leif? What would Leif do if Leif wasn't an
That's-
adventurer?
That's actually a tough question. I feel like a not too savvy businessman.
Really?
I like he's really like he's very personable and friendly, but he's not the most insightful towards people. So I
See,
feel like that might be something he might do.
I feel like
I'm
Leif
not-
would end up being a mule.
A mule?
like someone that ends up getting like the fall for something. Like
Oh, like it's
he would,
blamed for something? I mean, he's a
yes,
changeling. That's totally in the realm of him being blamed for a crime.
right. That's what I mean. Is I feel like you'd be like a fall guy for something, and it would totally not be your fault, and I would feel terrible. But I feel like that's someone would try and take advantage of your kindness and
Oh yeah.
your demeanor, and set you up for something.
Oh, that probably totally would happen. But
So, to answer Cataract, would either be a paladin or a cleric.
Hold on. So that's interesting. So you would be a businessman. I like that. Next question.
Oh, my bad.
If you did have to create a new character because your character died and could not be resurrected, what class would you build to join the group?
Would either be a paladin or a cleric.
because we need healing.
More
You
so
need
because
healing.
you can also depending on the domain for the cleric and depending on the paladin, you can tank and tank better than a barbarian. So yeah, I would do that for the group.
Okay.
Cool.
For me,
Also, smite.
Smite. Smite's always fun. The first thing I'm gonna say is a joke, but I would become a Kalashtar barbarian just to spite cause. Because you can't multi-class in the barbarian. That's a joke. That is a character I want to make. That's not what I would join with. That's a good question though.
Carrie, feel free to throw a shoe at him.
You can throw a shoe at me. I deserve that. There's a lot of characters I'd like to join with. If I had to pick one, I'm thinking. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe like a rogue? Like a charisma rogue?
Rogue Gauge.
I mean that's one. I mean I have like so many different. I have like a list of like characters I could pick from. It kind of depends on like how the death happened and what the party situation be. That'd probably influence what I would bring.
Bring it.
Interesting.
That's a hard one. I like.
Interesting.
I have so many characters.
Daring my wife to throw a shoe at me. Sorry.
Yeah, don't do that. That's
Oh,
asking to be thrown a shoe. Shoe will be
wait.
thrown.
Would Ashin still be alive? If Leif was gone, Ashin was still alive, I would probably want to be a drow.
Wow. Okay.
You'd be rolling a third character. You know that, right?
Hi, I'm a
Like,
good drow. Next character.
And Hunter's Mark. Oh no.
I cast Hunter's Mark. I cast Sharpshooter. I cast Chevrash. You want to help me out with this one? I give in to you completely. Let's go.
and that would totally happen because it's a drow. Chevrash would be like, "Yeah, this one's mine." Boing.
Awesome.
Ashin did learn to like goblins, but there is
A special hatred for drow.
yes.
So speaking of learning to like goblins,
Yeah.
there was an unexpected moment this past session with
Uh-oh.
Ashin and Droop. And I thought it was a very tender moment. How did you think Ashin felt about little Droop coming and sitting next to him?
Drunk.
And the moment's ruined. Not really, but
No, it was just funny because there was this really like innocent Like Droop was just very innocent and was just like, hey, like, what's up? Like, how are you doing? Kind of a thing. And it was just like this really kind of nice kind of time where they had a moment, and I was a little like,
Mhm.
oh.
Yeah.
And you said Ashin was drunk, but how drunk?
Drunk enough to be honest.
Oh, it's true. Because I think wasn't Droop asking like if this was a nice dragon or something like that? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
He was drunk.
That makes Droop
n-
sad.
No.
Droop sad.
He definitely he has a fondness for Droop specifically.
Yeah.
And that is not shared amongst other goblins. So you run into some more goblins, he's probably going to kill them.
Right.
I don't really know how to explain it, right? Like he kind of views Droop as like a child.
Yeah.
And now more like his child in a weird way.
You've adopted the Droop.
Yeah, pretty much.
How old is Droop?
It's a great question.
Old enough to
like-
be Ashin's kid.
Because like 8 for a goblin is adult.
He would shoot him, Gigan. Sorry, I had to answer that because
That's
it
fine.
popped into my brain.
No, so I feel like Droop in and of himself, I feel like is probably like, I mean, goblins' lifespans are very short typically.
Yeah.
I feel like Droop is probably in like the 10 to 12 range as
Okay.
a being.
So he's an adult, but he's basically like the adopted child of the group.
Yeah, but I think for him being an adult, though, I think obviously
Mhm.
goblins have their own sense of culture and society, and Droop has been so mistreated by his own kind and through bugbears, which are also technically goblinoid, right? Like he's just, I don't think that he's had the benefit of, I would say, even a proper goblin upbringing. He's really just been a slave kind of cast of goblin.
Yep.
So that's partly why I feel like he has such a childlike naivete about him, is just because he just doesn't know anything else other than being basically a slave, right?
Yep.
So next question from chat. If you ran into Drizzt du Erden, which I should probably know who that is, but I don't, how would your character react? Or for Ashin, how long would it take before you tried to kill him or got killed by him?
There'd be a fight there.
So why don't we start by explaining who Drizzt
I'd kill his
is?
panther first.
Is Drizzt like Drizzt? I know that Drizzt is like an ongoing character from either books or from a series, right? He's an ongoing character.
From Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
Isn't he like a drow with a panther or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He is a ranger.
You could be the best
But
friend.
he is an odd one and is an outcast from his own society.
Okay. So he's
And
one of the few good drow.
Who are you? Are you asking me or Ashin?
You.
Okay. So yes.
Okay. So he's technically considered a good drow, but from Ashin's
Right.
perspective, there is no such thing as a good drow.
Correct.
Yes. Fair.
Leif probably try to talk to him.
So if
We figured.
if there was a moment where the two could converse, Ashin would probably allow the conversation, especially if he knew who he was before meeting him.
That's a good question. Is Drizzt well known amongst?
Yes.
So you would know who it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he studies the drow. He'd probably know.
There would definitely be a constitution check, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
to
probably.
attack or not? Yes. I find that interesting. So
there
many
would be some.
dynamics.
So Drizzt rebelled against like drow society, basically.
Drow society is
And-
kind of messed up, especially for a male drow.
Oh, yep.
So
Right. He is an enemy of Loth. So in that respect, Ashin would find him favorable.
right.
Not trustworthy, but favorable. Is that
Like-
a correct assumption?
So
They would
basically
share
the
a meal,
same
and
level
then
as the
there'd be-
dwarves.
They would ultimately they would share a meal, and then
Fight.
they'd probably fight.
If nothing
I
else.
don't know
just
as if
to
it would
fight.
be. I don't know as if it would be to the death, but they would definitely fight.
No, it would be non-lethal to the death, just like Godorok.
Non-lethal, just like that fight. God, I love that fight. So good.
That's a good
Such
fight.
a good
Godoric
fight.
stands back up. Whack!
And Brugor goes down. Lights out. KO. No, I think
KO.
I find these kind of hypotheticals interesting. One, because it's fun to world build, but two, I think that they are fun for me as a DM to kind of get an insight as to how you perceive certain characters within the greater D&D story. There's so much lore that I want to consume. And given that I have all the source books, I should just try and read them. I just feel like I don't have time.
There's
But-
a lot.
There's a
If you want to get another
lot.
feeling more about like Faerun, you should read that book series by R.A. Salvatore. It takes place in Faerun.
Which series?
Icewind Dale to start.
I probably should read that one, considering I want to do a Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just maybe like the intro.
Like the intro. Let's see. If your character knew that they
He'd
were
have to
going
get close to me to hit me with those first butcher.
But wouldn't he be like at least double your level?
Probably. If your character knew that they were going to die in a month, how would they spend the rest of their life? Ooh.
She can answer that. I think you're. Do you want?
Man, I want to answer this question so bad.
Do you want me to answer it first?
I will answer it, but it might include spoilers.
Ooh.
Just remember, when you're getting to that point, just say the word spoilers and just keep going.
Earmuffs.
If he only had a month left and he knew he was going to die, spoiler, he would marry Asteria
There you go.
Aw.
or try to,
I
Now,
I
and
was
spend
already
as
thinking about
much waking time with her as he could.
that's a solid move by Ashin. I feel like that's where I would kind of guess that he would do. What about Leif?
he would marry
Drink
Halia.
a lot of beer.
That's a joke. That's a joke. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really feel like Leif is super forward thinking in the terms of mortality. So if he knew he had a month to live, I feel like he probably spending that time basically doing whatever he could to set up the party to basically be perfectly fine without him.
That's an
That's
interesting thing. I figured. I guess this is a again, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole here because I find this interesting. Do you think that Leif would accept that, or would you try and leverage things like your patron to stay alive?
He would definitely like ask, but he's not like going to spend the entire month on this possibly pointless quest to extend his mortality if he's just going to most likely die. He'd probably like get what he could to see if there's any way to maybe prevent that. And if there really wasn't, or at least it seemed like there wasn't from his point of view, he probably would accept that.
So here's a separate question for both of you that follows along with that.
Hmm?
Based on your character's kind of culture and beliefs, do they feel that death is final? And how would that play into the decision that they would make to try and fight for their life more or to kind of accept it?
Are we talking about like changelings specifically, or like?
I'm just saying, yeah, from Leif's perspective as a changeling, like you believe in the Traveler, right? The Traveler kind of has the ability to shift between realms. What does that mean for you? Like, is there a hey, you die, or is it like the traveler
Oh,
ushers
okay.
you to the next realm, or what is your idea of afterlife, or is there an idea of afterlife? Because I feel like that would potentially impact that too.
I think Leif has a belief in the afterlife. What that kind of is, he's not sure. Does that mean he's going to go through the 9 hells? Who knows? Does that mean he's going to go to some ethereal plane and be a very curious wisp going through the land? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, he's like I said, it's not mortality isn't something he super thinks about a lot. He's very like in the present moment kind of person.
Right. Which is why he's okay with trying to talk to a dragon. He's like, it could eat me, but I could talk to it, and that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, but we've established this. It's never like he goes in there just like spur of the moment. He does have like plans of things. It's not just like with the Manticore.
Sure.
He has shield now. He has mage armor up. He's not really worried about getting hurt with the Manticore. It's already weakened. Like it's not like a huge concern. Dragon he was more scared of, but he already had different plans set up, which all fell through the cracks. But that's because people don't like dragons.
Sure.
Which worked out fine.
It's fair.
It's not that we don't like dragons. We don't like evil dragons.
Fair.
But how do you know they're evil if you don't talk to them? Just by the
That's what
color of
Leif
their
thinks.
scales?
General, yeah, color of its scales. General knowledge.
Luckily, the white dragon has done some things that makes Leif apt to want to talk to it much, much less.
I mean, you freeze some friends. It's a little...
You kill someone, you freeze a friend. You know, he's not as apt because you really haven't shown you being too nice of a dragon.
I mean, he was guarding his territory. He's just doing what nature intended. What about you, Oisin?
He threatened us.
You threatened him by being in his territory.
That's fair.
Oisin definitely believes in the afterlife.
Okay.
He has a strong belief in the deity that he worships.
Okay.
Currently, he would like to think that that deity would probably try to prevent his passing.
Okay.
So, I mean, he accepts it whether it comes or not. He accepts death. He's been around too much of it to not accept it for what it is, which is just a transition to a new phase of his life.
Interesting. That's interesting. So it's really more of a we're gonna fight for it, but we understand if it happens, it happens. There's a certain, the reason I ask that is there's a certain sense, I think, of internalized peace that you get when you kind of fundamentally believe that there's something more. So there's less there's more willingness, I think, to accept mortality when you have that, as opposed to characters that don't. Like, hey, if this is the end, like I got to do everything I can to stay me because this is all I got. Whereas maybe if you believe there's something more, then there's more there. But if you would like for there to be more, you know what you got to do? You have to go ahead and like and subscribe. You have to subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate if you like the video and share it with some friends. You should also go and check out more of our content on YouTube. Come hang out with us live at twitch.tv/nighttide on Saturday nights and Wednesday nights, respectively. We're also going to be adding another campaign, so be on the lookout for that. And just stay tuned to all things Dungeon Nytes and Dungeon Talks, because, hey, we're awesome and we want you to be here. So, yay. That said, we're going to be, we're it. It's it. It's it for us for tonight for the show. If you're here live, we have the after show where we create characters and talk more D&D and all kinds of nerdy things, and we would love to have you here. Keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah, did you want to address either Geigen or Foxy's last two questions?
We are for time, so we can talk about them in the after show, or we can save them for next week. Either way, it doesn't matter. We love your faces, and we will see you guys next time on Dungeon Talks and Dungeon Nytes. Good night, everybody.